Donate. Wait, no, I meant donate. We absolutely love that word. At least, those of us who are doing the action of donating. Whether it's donate, help someone in need, or even for the kids, we all love that one. A lot of us jump at the opportunity to give back, sometimes too quickly. How many times do we say cancer research for every time we scream Mini-thon? Or menstrual hygiene for every time we donate feminine products? Destigmatize for every time we advocate for promoting education? Or simply, intersectional when we talk about representation? But let's take a step back to the word donate. The simple fact is that the word donate cannot be said without dough, and we all know what that means: mo money, mo problems. Today, money is used as a bandage for most issues around the globe. From cyclical poverty to epidemics, money is thrown left and right in hopes of making some harsh realities a little less harsh. So if you can't already tell, today, I'm going to be talking about what it means to give back, what giving back is like, and what giving back should be. So where does this feeling of wanting to give back come from? We seem to assume that having a good heart and the correct mindset is enough to give back. My friend once told me that by donating, we can all help save the world. Heck, after an all-night dance marathon, your legs may be numb, but you can probably feel like a hero. The savior complex is defined as the mindset of someone who believes they are responsible or capable of saving others. While these mindsets can stem from beliefs or faith, it actually just might be part of our human nature. This sounds like a good thing. Our lives become another episode of my favorite childhood TV show, Dora the Explorer. This 8-year-old girl would come in with her pet monkey and always save the day. There was no question about it. However, maybe even after we try and give back and save the day, not everyone is dancing like Dora at the end of an episode. In fact, our complexes can create a variety of problems. First, acting on the savior complex can prevent the person who is being saved from taking responsibility. But no, welfare is not a product of the savior complex. The savior complex explains our motivations behind our efforts to help others, but not necessarily the efforts themselves. Second, acting on the savior complex and adapting this mindset can increase discrepancies and disparities while perpetuating divisions among these groups. For example, in really simple terms, if one group forms a relation with another group that involves one saving the other, that's all the relation is likely to be. It can foster a superiority complex in the group that is doing the saving. In turn, by handing them this power, this leaves the other group vulnerable to change and interference in their lives, lifestyle, and environment. Nevertheless, the other side of feeling as though you can save someone is feeling helpless. It's not better or worse, but it's a powerful feeling. And I can tell you that firsthand. Summer after my sophomore year, I felt helpless. All throughout high school, I had gone out of my way to learn more about global public health, and I wanted to do something about it. More than helpless, I felt restless and entitled to bringing about change. So I started at a place close to my heart, India. Little did I know that my mindset on giving back was about to change entirely, and I'm glad it did. I began researching global health issues within the region, eventually discovering the brutal conditions for menstrual hygiene. To me, a basic attribute of my lifestyle. Over 300 million women lack access to menstrual products in India. Millions of people are also involved in charitable and nonprofit efforts to alleviate these poor conditions. To me, the numbers didn't make sense. In my utopian mind that had seen a glimpse of global public health, I thought they would cancel each other out. Or, at the very least, the number of people helping should put a significant dent in the number of people suffering. Isn't that how aid and intervention is supposed to work? What they were lacking was superordinate goals. Superordinate goals are most commonly used as a technique to unite different groups of people to achieve something they have in common. Everyone always rolls their eyes when I say that. I know because I do too. Superordinate goals are the thing my parents told me to think about when I didn't want to share my toys on the playground, or another wellness lesson from our guidance counselors on how to get along. Well, believe it or not, the guidance counselors were right all along. When every different group, demographic, and individual goes after a cause, there's ultimately a gap in all of the efforts, which is collaboration. Without superordinate goals and teamwork, humanitarian aid and charity becomes counterproductive, creating two issues. One, it amplifies the already scarce amount of resources available, and two, it can increase discrepancies among the groups involved. Now on to the second commonality. Okay, so some of the intervention efforts were a bit myopic. You got pads and tampons into a village in India. What now? Do the 14-year-old girls know how to wear them? Do they even know what menstruation is? Let's say they do. Do they have the privacy to put the pad, tampon, or cup on? If they have that, are the products contributing to the waste in the environment? India, as do many other global south countries, has a serious pollution problem. Let's say it's reusable. Do they know how to wash them? If they do they have the adequate soap and materials to wash the pads regularly to be able to wear them month to month when their cycle reoccurs? And yes, a period cycle does reoccur, for those of you who are wondering. Now, I barely scratch the surface of the questions we should be asking ourselves every time we try to give back. It may seem obvious, and it is, but when we're blinded by our own selflessness, we can fail to recognize the consequences of our actions. Education. For ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong, things like institutional sentiments and stigma make it difficult to promote education in several places around the globe. However, by simply educating ourselves, asking questions, provoking thought, and being curious is a step in the right direction. Education isn't always books in a classroom, and it should never be confined to the walls of one either. Which leads me to my next point. There are two types of intervention efforts. Neither one is perfect, but one is found to be more precise, which is a grassroots or bottom-up effort. They incorporate self-education in the simplest of ways. Top-down efforts are the opposite. They are exactly what they sound like. People at the top helping through funneling money or services down to people at the bottom. For example, throwing money into a humanitarian aid program in a country stricken with civil conflict is a top-down effort. Because whether it's Yemen, Sudan, or any country in unrest, blindly throwing money from the top does not always help people at the bottom. Bottom-up efforts, on the other hand, are usually local and begin at a micro scale to have a large but maintainable and sustainable impact. An example of a bottom-up or grassroots effort is a nonprofit called Raise Uganda Now. Very few things are perfect to me in this world, but if anything comes closest to perfection, it's Raise Uganda Now. Raise Uganda Now is a student-run nonprofit providing a spectrum of care, including a home, education, and security to 45 children in Nampoma, Uganda. We have 8 local staffs, over 20 undergraduates, and 1 incredibly proud high school intern. I know, it's difficult to recognize me, but this is me, believe it or not, at my prime. Anyways, Everyone knows everyone, and we all know our children's needs. I'm only a high school intern, and I've had several conversations with this girl on the left. Her name is Nehemiah Sharon. She loves celebrating Christmas, and her favorite gift is a new book for her to read. In fact, there are so many things about Raise Uganda Now that are incredibly well thought out. But there's one specifically that stands out to me. And it's this project called Dream Runner Bus. Because Nankoma is a tiny village lacking a large-scale transportation system, our team has come up with a proposal to finance one singular bus to travel around the village as a mini transportation system. The revenue from the bus tickets is going to cover the cost of the home from month to month, but more importantly, due to the new positions of a bus driver and maintenance, we are creating employment opportunities for people beyond our own staff. Now, there are several other small details that highlight its feasibility, financially and logistically, but you guys get the idea. And I get it. This is just one instance in one country working toward one goal in one home. But that is my point. This solution will only work in Nankoma because it's made to work in Nankoma. To replicate this somewhere else requires efforts to educate not only others, but ourselves. We must educate ourselves on how we give, who we give back to. We have to recognize the economy in which we give back and the system we want to give back in. But most importantly, we have to understand the impact our giving back is going to have, holistically. And not just today, not just tomorrow, but years from now. Now, I have no intention of villainizing anyone involved in mainstream nonprofits or undermining the efforts of any altruistic organizations. I'm sure they don't have malicious intent. In fact, I am certain it's coming from a place close to their heart. But regardless, I would encourage you to question the impact of yours and others' actions before your next fundraising attempt. Whether it's a small sum of money or dancing all night, let's not donate, but let's instead do-nate. Thank you.